her bio. Sorry about that. I'm a little rusty on this. So Megan Wilson. Megan Wilson is a visual artist, sorry about that, writer and activist based in San Francisco. She's known for large-scale installations, public projects, and street art. She incorporates a broad range of pop culture methodologies and aesthetics to address conceptual interests that include homelessness, social justice, anti-capitalism, impermanence, and generosity. She co-founded the San Francisco-based arts website, Stretcher.org. Her writings have also appeared in After Image, Digital City, Public Art Review, the SFA Guardian, and Art Practical, in the book Street Art San Francisco Mission Muralismo, and in Reimagine, the National Journal about Race, Poverty, and the Environment. Here's Megan.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you to James Warner as well, and huge thank you to Noisebridge and Jared for inviting us to come here. This was kind of a crazy moment not to be able to be on the alley tonight, and we really, really appreciate that you invited us here to do this. I'm Megan Wilson. I'm one of the co-directors of Clarion Alley Mural Project. We are a 25-year mural organization, public art organization, and one of the things that we're really, really committed to is social justice and having a social justice agenda. So we've invited the speakers here tonight, all have that as something that's very important to them. And thank you all for being here. I have two pieces that I'm going to be reading tonight. One, and they were both rooted in the alley, so it's not being on the alley is a little different, but just imagine that we're, half a block away. And one of them is about the changes that have been happening here in San Francisco, and Clarion Alley Mural Project has really been impacted. We started out as a community-based project that was about the neighbors and the neighborhood, and now we've become a destination. So it's really shifted the alley and the focus of the alley. So the first piece I'm reading is called The Magical Alley. This past summer, a group of business execs, all clad in expensive black suits, rolled into Clarion Alley in a shiny black Escalade with a camera crew. As is the case when private tour groups, often part of larger foodie or boutique packages, appear on the alley with little or no connection to the community's history or struggles, these folks looked ridiculous. Surrounded by murals, most with messages of social and political dissidence, and standing amidst the strong scent of urine, scattered debris, artists painting, and a small community of homeless vets asking for change, this group could not have looked more out of place. Mesmerized by the space, they were scurrying about for areas to film while excitedly discussing how they'd recently discovered this magical alley. As one of the artists painting in the alley that day, and one of the organizers of the mural project, I casually approached the man who appeared to be in charge of the team 1% Interlopers and asked what they were filming. He replied that it was for his business's website. I pressed for more information, and he asked who I was. I introduced myself and told him that I was an organizer with Clarion Alley Mural Project, then asked if he had a card. He didn't, but introduced himself as Dan Santiago and his business as the Prado Group. He'd never heard of the Clarion Alley Mural Project. With confirmation that this was in fact a corporate shoot, I informed him of camp's policy of no commercial, for-profit, and/or corporate usage of the murals. Like most folks who hear this, he didn't understand since the alley is a public space. I further explained the project's almost 25-year history, and that as a volunteer-run nonprofit organization, committed to, and a committed revolving group of us have collectively donated tens of thousands of hours over the 2 decades, organizing, managing, and maintaining the murals on the alley, and hosting an annual free public block party with 2 stages of music playing for a day in celebration of the communities that camp serves. I reiterated that as a community project, the murals are free for enjoying, but not available for use in commercial for-profit endeavors. Everything I said seemed foreign, or rather silly and flowery to this group, as they all had varying degrees of smirks on their faces, while I gave them some background on the magical alley they had discovered. Mr. Shaghayegh then wanted to know how the project's policies were enforced. I reiterated that CAMP is a nonprofit organization. He pushed further. Who is in charge? What is the address of the project's website? Where are your offices? At that point, I realized that it would be easiest and take up less of all of our time if I would just speak in a language that he and his team were familiar with. We register our works with the US Copyright Office, and we have an attorney. That's how we enforce our policies. Team Prado group huddled to discuss and then packed up and left. It was yet another moment that has become all too familiar in San Francisco. A moment of contemporary colonialism in which a privileged few have discovered a new space that they want to claim as their own via the image it can provide as their marketing tool for profit. A space that, rather than getting to know the background of and giving the respect due to those who have put the time, energy, and love into creating its allure, is viewed as a disposable commodity to use and exploit. It seems those messages of dissent, permeating wafts of urine, piles of debris, mangy-looking artists, and the men and women who once wore a uniform in the name of a country that they would die for, but are now forced to beg for change in to survive, are all magical if they can provide the gritty backdrop for a bunch of greedy developers to sell their gentrification projects to other shallow, greedy kin. Otherwise, these magical elements are just nuisances and impediments to be discharged and destroyed. The next piece I have is a letter to a dear beloved friend of mine who died earlier this year. She was an amazing force in this community, Lisa Swenson. She was a filmmaker, a teacher, an amazing, amazing person. So this is, and she lived at 47 Clarion, which was the warehouse for Clarion Alley Mural Project for 10 years until 2000, when it was destroyed to bring in luxury condos. Letter to my dear beloved friend, Lisa Swenson. Lisa, I still can't believe this is happening. You've been heavily on my mind since I learned that you had gone into hospice. I hear your voice. Most often it's you leaving a message on my voicemail. Hi Megan, it's Lisa. Can you give me a call? Your voice is quiet and you sound vulnerable. Or I hear you laugh and yelling, buy, sell, buy, sell! Someone get me a technician, goddammit! From the footage of your performance, The Emperor Has No Clothes during Art Strikes Back. I see you too. You're almost always smiling with that big, mischievous grin, and you look healthy, beautiful, glowing, like you just came back from working out. I was always so impressed and jealous by your commitment to go to the gym, almost daily. Those are the flashes that come to me. Then there are the deeper memories. Your great charm and passion. You were always able to rally people to get behind whatever project or movement you were spearheading. And we all would get swept up in the magic of your vision, like there was nothing else more important or worthy of our pouring energies into. Even more admirable to me was your integrity, and this is where I feel like we really bonded. No matter how much criticism you sometimes received from the status quo, you never wavered in your vision. You stayed true to yourself and your work. You were a kindred spirit, who, regardless of my own criticisms of your work over the years, I loved the fact that it was more important to you to follow what you believed in, rather than bend to meet someone else's expectations. You were the embodiment of integrity. Our tilt retreats. You, me, Anita, Kara, and Jenny, meeting at your place. First on Valencia Street and later on Vermont. Talking and imagining how we saw that dream that you had initially envisioned developing and expanding. The storage closet window space at ATA that sometimes 4 of us would be working in at once, along with all of Tilt's video and sound equipment. Our meetings with Goodman 2, then the Ninth Street media folks, you and me arguing about capacity and vision versus reality. You always dreamed so big. It was one of the things I loved about you, except when I hated it. When we were working together and I always had to be the downer. Lisa, we just can't do this. It's not feasible. We don't have the money. You'd pause and then repeat exactly what I'd said we couldn't do by rephrasing it. And we'd go on and on like this until one of us would finally have to go. Somehow it all worked out, and Tilt is just one of your amazing legacies. Art strikes back. All action, no meetings. In spite of those beginnings of the hell that has continued to grow from that first dot-com boom in 2000, we had so much fun that summer. It was a lot of work, and we definitely had our moments, but overall we had so many wonderful experiences together that year. I'm happy that I did get the opportunity to apologize and tell you 14 years later in 2014 that you were 100% right about the toxicity of that person who will remain unnamed and who drove a wedge between you and I for a second. You were right, so right. And we stayed pretty true to our mantra with only 2 medians. And the apostrophe is back. Mr. Gary on the feedback show. You came over for dinner and decided that you had to do a movie, using my home installation as the set. I loved this. I was so honored that you were that moved by my work that you wanted to make it part of your work and to create a short film using the space as a launching point. As always, I loved the crew of amazing and interesting people that you brought into my life and now into my home. Those 2 weeks of filming on site was a challenging time for me as I was struggling with my father's imminent death, heavily medicating myself with alcohol, while also preparing to leave for a 5-week artist residency in the Philippines 2 days after you finished shooting.
Simon says support your local hacker.
That's right. I was crazed and crazy, yet you handled it with grace and graciousness. And I feel especially blessed that we did have the opportunity to spend some significant time together in 2014, sharing our stories, our challenges, and our successes. I love you, Lisa, and that's all I got. Thank you.